It is absolutely amazing how much damage has been done just this year in 2022. Tens of trillions of dollars of wealth wiped out across stocks, the market, crypto, so many things I want to talk about. And today, it's a funny day out there. My accounts might even have been green. I'm sure some of your guys' accounts might have been green, but it felt like with how much bad news we've gotten in the past 24 hours in the overall financial landscape, it felt like such a capitulation type day out there with so much insanely bad news just in the past 24 hours that I want to take you guys through that is extremely scary on many different fronts. And so anyways, hope you guys enjoy this. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you that subscribe to the channel. Thanks for being here as always. And like I said, the Fed at this time last year was still working for us. They just started working against the market this year. And the damage that has come out there is insane. Okay. So first up here, Disney. Disney is in jeopardy of joining the down 50% club. Yes, it is in a real risk. It is down 6.5% after hours for Disney stock here. And who knows, it might go down more. Maybe you see it something in the 80s tomorrow. Maybe it does hit that down 50% club, which is extraordinary because almost everybody would usually look at Disney and say that's the safest stock in the stock market or one of the safest stocks. Like that's how people felt for like a long time, like over a decade, if not multi-decades now. And see that stock at a real risk here of going down 50% plus. Wow, what an extraordinary move. Here's the deal. Their earnings were awful. Their revenue missed by over $1 billion. Their adjusted earnings per share came in at 30 cents versus 51 cents was expected. That's a massive, epic miss. Disney Plus subscribers and net additions came in much better than they expected, 12 million versus 9.35. But here's the problem. That's the one number that Wall Street doesn't really want to see. Because basically they're losing a ton of money on Disney Plus right now. So actually they don't want to see like numbers come in that hot. So the one thing that should, it's just incredible. They disappoint in everything that Wall Street cares about. And they have an actual good number on something they don't want to be good. It's almost hilarious. Parks and Experience and Consumer Products revenue came in at $7.4 billion. 7.5 is expected. Another miss there. Just a complete kind of epic, colossal disaster there for Disney in terms of this earnings, okay? And I haven't listened to a conference call yet. I'll likely do that tonight, but I heard not necessarily the greatest conference call out there as well. Now, is Disney stock a buy? Here's my opinion on that. I think in 2023, yes, Disney stock is a buy. I'm not ready to step in and buy that baby right now. But in 2023, I can definitely see myself potentially making a position in Disney, which I've never had a position in Disney stock. And that's a company that, I wouldn't be surprised if their stock price gets hit even more over the next few months, regardless of the market, just for the mere fact that they have so many things working against themselves and they're a high debt ridden company nowadays. And we're still in a very risk off market where no one wants a piece of any company that's a money loser. No one wants any piece of a company that's profitability has deteriorated massively. And no one wants a piece of any company that's massively debt loaded. Disney fits all those criteria. Okay. Now, do keep in mind it's Disney. They have unbelievable franchises across their business and they're going to be here for long term, right? But this is going to continue to be a stock that no one really wants a piece of, to be quite frank. And the only way this stock really goes up at all and doesn't just keep going down is if the market was to get, let's call it very hot over the next few months. Outside of that, that stock will continue to falter. Tesla stock. Tesla, my gosh. I mean, this is just in November. This stock is down 18%. And it's like, where's the bottom here? It just keeps going down more and more and more, including today it was down a bunch more. I mean, there's obviously a ton of worries, out there in terms of anything that's big expenses. The market's finally coming out of denial about big expenses and how those will be hit in a massive way. And we're just starting to see this play out over the last few months. You're going to see it a lot more in 2023. The longer the Fed keeps interest rates at an elevated level, the more likely that we're going to see all these big ticket purchase items, homes, cars, furniture, all that stuff just continue to tank in a massive way. And at some point in time, that will hit Tesla's numbers, and we're likely going to see it in 2023. And I'm a Tesla shareholder, so if anything, I'd rather preach that the stock's beautiful and everything's great. But unfortunately, Tesla will not be immune in this situation. At some point in time, it doesn't matter how great your product is. When you're selling $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 vehicles, sometimes $100,000 plus vehicles, right? That almost everybody takes out a loan to buy, and interest rates just keep going up and more and more and more and more and more. Plus, you have people concerned about spending money in general, right? Because of all the recession fears. And plus, we're going into a landscape where a lot of people are going to lose jobs that are Tesla's core customer base. Never mind the Elon headache with Twitter. Never mind potentially turning off a bunch of their potential customers. I mean, it's too much. It's an overwhelming amount of things going against it, right? Coinbase got hit 10% plus here today, and the stock is now down 85.6% in the past 1 year for Coinbase. Now, that's incredible. I guess that's the best way to put it. Incredible. What's going on with Coinbase, okay? Well, this FTT coin that is basically kind of like FTX's coin is down like 75% here today on this massive sellout of Binance dropping a bunch, and just a complete insane situation where now FTX is going to get bought. It doesn't look like FTX US. So FTX US is kind of its own standalone thing, but it looks like the FTX kind of like international business is going to likely be bought by Binance at this point in time. And it's I don't even want to go into all the details behind that because it's just a crazy situation about, the gentleman that runs Binance versus Sam Bankman-Fried, the guy at FTX. But it's incredible. Binance has offered to buy FTX non-US operations to fix liquidity crunch. So basically, by all this FTT getting dumped, FTX got into some sort of liquidity crunch here, and now they're going to be bought by Binance. It's insane. That's the best way to describe it. Insane. But this is what happens when everything's unregulated in the crypto space still. I mean, I don't want to say everything is. Thank goodness FTX, basically kind of split off the U.S. operations, because otherwise it would be everything. So, my gosh, just a disaster, and it's causing obviously insane volatility. And even myself, I'm looking at this because basically FTX was supposed to buy Voyager, right? From my understanding, it was supposed to be the FTX US unit. It's supposed to buy Voyager, but now I'm kind of like, okay, is this still going through? What's going on? I still have 5 figures of money on Voyager. It used to be 6 figures, but because everything went down massively, it's 5 figures worth of money, and I'm not the only one that has money still on Voyager. And so all of us are looking at this, and we're like, okay, so now this Binance is going to buy out FTX's non-US operations. So what does that mean for the Voyager deal? Is it still going through? What are we going to do? When are we ever going to see our money in this situation? And no one knows the answer, unfortunately. No one knows the answer. It's a very frustrating ordeal in this whole situation. Bitcoin's getting hit huge, down 11%. I'm surprised it's not down more. It looked like it was really going, down a lot. But, there's a lot of M in that space. Let's just call it that. A lot of that type of stuff. Okay. Ethereum down 15% plus. I think I should be down 30 or 40% here today with everything going on. But there's a lot of that type of stuff in this space, and it's the most of any space, obviously. Okay. Lucid. So Lucid's down 7+% after hours. I still think Lucid's going to penny stock level, likely. I have no short position on or put options on Lucid, but I do think this is probably going to penny stock levels. In terms of will this company ever face bankruptcy, it's definitely a potential. I'd call it a 50-50 if they'll face bankruptcy down the road. It amazes me that it's still trading at a $22 billion market cap. It's almost laughable. This is a stock that was trading at $57. It's trading at $12. And like I said, I honestly think it's going to 5 or under. And if they show enough promise, I think they'd be able to get a cash infusion at some point. But things are deteriorating massively for Lucid in the worst possible time, okay? Here's the deal. They're on track to have guidance of 6,000 to 7,000 vehicles. It's like basically nothing, basically. I mean, it's like, what, 6,000 to 7,000 vehicles? Come on, man. That's a joke. And, you notice in their main kind of bulk of the press release there, they make sure they don't mention anything about losses or something like that. So we got to dig into the numbers. And here's what you're going to find. First off, about $3 billion since the beginning of this year is gone from Lucid. You look at cash and cash equivalents is down $5 billion, short-term investments up $2 billion. So it basically is about $3 billion of liquidity that's just It's gone. It's gone, just like that. In 9 months? Where are things going to be at in 19 months, right? So Lucid's going to be in a situation where they have to dilute shareholder value to the ground over the next 1 to 2 years just to survive, in the hopes of survival. Look at their loss from operations just in the past 3 months. $687 million. 687. And here's the problem. This is not going to turn around for them. There's no magic fix for them. There's a lot of companies that are money losers right now, but those companies will turn to money makers in 2023 because there's easy fixes going on in their business. There's certain things that are going on, that costs that were hitting their margins, and a bunch of other various factors that they can get to profitability in 2023, 2024. Lucid's not that company. Lucid can't get to profitability in 2023. And I would call it less than a 5% probability they get to profitability in 2024. And less than a 10% probability they'll get to profitability in 2025. So when it comes to Lucid, this is just bad. So far, in the 9 months through this year, they've lost $1.8 billion. When you just look at this one, it's going to penny stocks, and it's just, like I said, I think it's a coin flip on if this company will be a bankrupt company in a couple of years. And maybe it happens even sooner. The way they're burning through money, my gosh, man. And this is the worst possible market for this to happen in. That's the thing. It's the worst possible market for this to happen in for a company like that. If this was, easy money days, Lucid would be no concern because it's they could just easily get another $1 billion, their hands on another billion. This market, yeah, they're not just handing out billions of dollars right now. That ain't the way this thing's working, okay? Now you look at the difference between look at a stock like Corsair. This stock in the past 1 month is up almost 40%. So meanwhile, countless of these stocks are continuing to devastate it. You got all this massive volatility, and then you got a stock like a Corsair that's up 40% in the past month, okay? But the thing with the Corsair is in 2023, regardless of what happens in the economy, their business is going to be better. Their revenues are going to be better year over year. Their margins are going to be better year over year. Their net income is going to be better year over year. And their cash flow is going to be better year over year, no matter what happens. The same cannot be said for these Lucids and all these other stocks out there. They're going to have deterioration in their businesses, and likely a pretty significant way. And their profitability, their cash flows, and their margins are likely going to shrink considerably for some of these other stocks out there. So 2023 is going to be a year of the haves and have-nots, where you're going to have some stocks that perform unbelievably well, including several stocks I own are going to have unbelievable years in 2023, several of them. And you're going to have a lot of more deterioration in countless of these other stocks out there in the market. And the thing you got to understand is we're in a big cycle right now. And this is a major cycle of essentially everything that got hit at different moments. So when you look at a stock like Corsair, this stock topped in terms of their business model, in terms of their stock price, everything. It topped way back at the end of January, beginning of February of 2021, which was 10 months before the rest of the market topped, okay? So you had big tech, you had all those companies still having a grand old time, while Corsair stock was just going down and down and down and down and down and down, and just getting hit more and more and more, right? And so you're going to eventually see big tech stocks reach a bottom in 2023, likely. But the big question is it the first quarter, second quarter, or third quarter when you see those big tech stocks actually bottom, right? But this is a process that has to be worked through. And you will have a market that emerges here of the haves and have-nots. And you're going to see companies that their revenues go down, their margins go down, their net income goes down, their cash flows go down in 2023. Corsair is not one of those companies. And so their stock price will do, fairly well. Let's just call it that, okay? I was thinking about Toll Brothers. Toll Brothers is one of these stocks that looks so insanely cheap, right? It has a 5 trailing P. It has a 4 forward P. And you think, my gosh, Toll Brothers. It just looks like, look at it. It's so cheap. It's so cheap, right? Here's the issue with Toll Brothers. There's a real possibility that toward the end of 2023, they could start losing money. And I think there's a real possibility, and especially if the Fed keeps rates at a very elevated level for almost all of 2023, if that happens, I think Toll Brothers will likely be a huge money loser in 2024 and potentially even 2025. That's if the Fed keeps rates high for almost an entire year. Now, if the Fed, pivots and all of a sudden, they start cutting rates or something like that at the beginning of the year, that might be a different situation. And that's probably not the most realistic situation, to be honest. And so a stock like Toll Brothers, you might think it looks so cheap, but you think you got to understand is a year from now, this company might be losing money. Losing money. Not only are they not making money, but literally losing money running their business. And they've gone through this. You go back to look at Toll Brothers' numbers in the great financial crisis and look at the losses they took year after year after year. And I think that's a real possibility for this company. I really do. And so it might look cheap on paper. You pull up the statistics, but when you start just using your brain a little bit and kind of thinking about how these things are going to play out, and the fact that the real estate market is still in the early innings of its fall, and it's going to get a lot worse in 2023, and maybe even still potentially get worse in 2024, yeah, it's not going to be pretty for all these companies' profitability in the home building space. And a lot of these companies that have been making so much money are likely going to start losing so much money. And part of it is the greed. I've seen it play out with these companies in this home building space, and I've watched the tactics they've used for the past year, and I watched them purposely hold back lots instead of just usually they would put a lot at a certain price, $50,000 or $100,000 or whatever the price is, right? And just if you want to buy it, you could buy it. But they started saying, oh my gosh, we have so much demand. Let's make people start having to bid against each other. And so they would make 10, 15, 20 people have to bid against each other just to try to get a lot, right? And also they would hold back a bunch of lots because the price just kept going up and up and up. And they're like, oh, we'll release this in like 3 months, 6 months. They were in no rush. Even in the community I live in Vegas, they got greedy, man. They got greedy. And now they're going to have to dump lots at bargain basement prices, or they're going to be sitting on those for likely several years to go in the future. It's the way it goes, man. And, it's just, it's funny how it works in that space, man. A lot of these companies are very greedy, and now the market's working against them, and now they're going to get very, very desperate. And it's going to happen very, very quickly, okay? You look at a stock like Affirm. The stock is down about 17% here today, or after hours specifically. It's down 17%. And when it comes to Affirm, all you need to know is one thing. They posted a wider than expected loss. That's all you need to know. All you need to know. With this whole buy now, pay later, such a big risk in this sort of market and in this sort of economy for these sorts of companies like an Affirm. And you come in as a company like Affirm, your stock's already down, 80 or 90%. You report a wider than expected loss. There's no hope for you. It's a disaster. There's no hope, okay? You look at a stock like Upstart. Going into today's earnings, the stock is down 94% in the past 1 year. You might say, can't get any worse. It's down 94% in the past 1 year. So you might buy it, And then it goes down another 26% after hours. There's no hope for these companies. Just no hope. You look at this, right? And as long as the Fed continues to keep raising interest rates or keeps them very, very high, there's no hope for these companies. And you look at Upstart. Total revenue is a decrease of 31%. As far as transaction volume, total $1.9 billion. It was down 48% from the same quarter prior year. You look at the loss of operations, $58 million, down from $28 million for the prior year. GAAP net income came in at a loss of $56 million. And the thing for these companies is it's not like they can pitch like things are going to get better. For companies like Affirm and Upstart, it's very probable things continue to get worse for the next year. So, like I spoke about toward the beginning of this video, you're going to have companies that are going to say, yeah, our revenues, our margins, our cash flow, our profitability is going to, get in a much better place in 2023. But you got some of these companies like the Affirms and many of these other companies, especially anything that's in relation to financing, where their business models are not going to get better in 2023. They're going to get worse, substantially worse. The losses will get bigger. The revenue will decrease more. And that's why I'm talking about, we've had a long time where the market's been easy to just throw money out there in an index fund or whatever and just make money or just throw it in any stock. And I'm telling you, we're gonna move into a market of the haves and have-nots for at least the next year, if not the next several years, okay? I spoke about this inside the private group a few nights ago. I posted this up. And I talked about survival. A market like this, of financial conditions the way they are, is all about survival, guys. If you want to read through that, you can pause that there. There's some good little gems in there. And make sure you check out the video I produced earlier today. If you're interested in any of those 4 stocks, I actually put that on my reaction channel there. I appreciate everybody for joining me as always. Much love. I'll keep you up to date with everything going on. Thank you, everybody. Subscribe to the channel and have a great day.